Mic check, mic check. Aloha. If you can hear me, let me know. That video was tracking really slow on my machine. I don't know if it's my machine, if it was actually the the actual software itself. Who knows? But let me actually see if I can quickly finish this. Give me 17 seconds, family. Pin this message. There you go. Good. Has been pinned. Pin message. Fantastic. I can let go. Excellent. Cool. Mic check, mic check. Let me know if it's even moving. Might not even be moving. Let me just, I want to type, can you hear me, family? Let me type that. Can. One. Yeah, it's not being silly now, isn't it? Oh, well, someone's doing something. Oh, come on. Greetings. Can you hear me? Let me just say, can you hear me? Probably not. Can you hear me? It might take 7 seconds to get up online. Can you hear me? Meanwhile, let me go to the thing with you. Let me actually stop that and go here. Da-da-da. And then scroll that up. I should actually make a screen called "Can you hear me?" That'd be a good thing to have in the PDF. All right, Mike, it's moving. Yes, you can. Oh, that's fantastic. Isn't that super fantastic? All right, greetings all. Good to meet you guys. This is the Betterment Broadcast. This is show 144. That's right, 144 attempts at trying to form constructive solutions for Black people. Fantastic. Excellent. Good. So we start as we always start. Let's read the three starting statements. That's very important. Please not just listen and adapt. So when it comes to working as a collective with only Black people on matters that benefit Black issues, Black progression, Black ownerships, Black people are collectively inadequate. Oh, yeah. Individually, you might find a non-Black person who shows some kind of corollary towards Black people. However, collectively, Black people have no friends. And most importantly, constructive Black man with constructive Black woman makes a constructive Black family. Fantastic. Now, we're going to set that link today, and we're going to have a great community show. But when we do, please remember to be constructive and use the 4D values, which is discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. Feel free to take these 4D values and use them in your life, or use them in your other podcasts whenever you're trying to help Black people. It can be very challenging. There is much anxiety and past traumas that make these journeys very challenging. So we have to give ourselves tools to make it just that little bit more easier. And these are one of those tools, the 4D values. So don't forget to use those. Fantastic, super, excellent, great. Also, can we not use any profanity? That'd be great. There's certain words we don't really need to use unless we're doing case studies on those words, especially when we're communicating. Some people find it very hard because they've incorporated those kind of words, those derogatory words in their everyday language. But on this show, we try to have no profanity if possible. Thank you. So what is Black Betterment? Black Betterment is Black people helping Black people on Black issues for betterment. That's all it is. So in other words, Black Betterment is a lifestyle. We promote the lifestyle of Black Betterment on this broadcast. That's right. That's what we do. Welcome all the guys who are here tonight, and anyone who's new, welcome. This is what we do. I have sent out some link to some new guys who said they want to speak on some issues. So we're going to stick on topic, but if we've got some people who want to talk about those particular issues, they can jump on whenever they're ready. But we will be showing some videos today. And just so you know, it's not our videos, so we're using the Copyright Act 1976. So it's just fair use, that kind of stuff, blah, blah, blah. Right, fantastic. So don't forget, more importantly this week than any other week, please follow the Black Betterment Building Instagram. We started last week the Black Love campaign. Maybe what I can do is I can go on Instagram and show those things. If you haven't followed, put that on the screen. Can I put it on the screen? Hold on. Yeah, let me put it on the screen. Black. Oh, that one. I don't know what that is, man. Just messing around. Oh no, show. Yeah, you go show. There you go. Yeah, it works. Yeah, so we started the Black campaign last week. I posted about 6 or 7 or so images. Got a bit slow. I need to go a bit further, do a bit more. But we've got about 20 or so to deliver before we re-up and make a bit more. So that's right. If those don't know, what we do is we got ideas of how to promote constructive things for Black people, and we come together as a community and we talk about strategies from a marketing standpoint, what we could do on social network and all that good stuff there. And last week we had some great ideas by the community talking about imagery and a campaign known as Black Love Is. Big up Empress Kushti for the lingo there, the tagline, the hashtag. And then we had a voting system last week where we were picking the best hashtags to use in this particular campaign. I think the one that was most popular was Black Love Is Science, I believe. I think, if I'm right, I think that one won. So that was one of the hashtags we used in this particular campaign that's going. So fantastic. So thank you for all the contributors there. And remember, even if you're new or you've been here since day one, your opinions matter. There is no wrong answer unless it's wrong. So that's good. So just let us know, and we shall make it so. The idea, we're trying to promote ways of collaborating, each one teach one, pulling together resources, and all that good, fantastic stuff there. And hopefully that can be learned by osmosis, and we can make that a thing, a fantastic thing. That's the idea. So let me actually get rid of this. So don't forget to follow the Black Bear Building, and a bit later on we'll show you how that looks. Where's that word? Let me get rid of it. Okay, cool, fantastic, excellent. Who's that? Yep, excellent. Ooh, let me get rid of that as well. Excellent, cool. All right, now, what is today's topic? Here we are. So you guys might know more than me because it's quite new for me to know. But the first thing is we invite the community to collaborate with ideas to promote Black ownership and economics. So we talked about how to come together to promote Black love. We've started that campaign, so that's going, and we can update it in the future time. But we're going to go to the next one now. So we're going to pick either ownership or economics. Maybe they're the same thing. Who knows? But also to actually correlate to that, as connected. Brother Tyler Perry, a brother, African American brother, lives in America. For those who know, he makes films, this kind of stuff, and he's got his own studio, which is really good. He's apparently bought BET and I think VH1, but I know BET. And we were saying, can this help motivate Black people and this kind of stuff, right? So yeah, this is so we're going to cover that today. But before we do that, we've got a guest. So I was talking to a brother. I'm going to invite him. I think this might be him. And brother, welcome to the show. Can you hear me, brother?
Yes, I can hear you.
Excellent. So I take it you're the brother from Instagram. Is that correct?
Excuse me.
Did we network on Instagram, or is this the first time here?
Yeah. This is the dude from Instagram.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So this is Brother Golden. So if I'm right, are you the brother who we were discussing about the brown paper bag and this kind of stuff, and divisions between Black people and of tones and this kind of stuff, and mulattoes or biracial and light skin kind of thing, right?
Yes, we're talking about the separation of mixed people and fully Black people, and mixed people creating their own community.
Excellent. This is good. So, family, what we tend to do is just like to speak to the guys to know. So we tend to send out links to people who have ideas, who want to communicate about certain things that might be shocking, certain things might be new or coming in. And we always invite everyone to come in to discuss these ideas in a constructive way. So we always tell the standpoint of what we as a collective think, and then we always want to hear other ideas. So what we're going to do, brother, is I'm just going to, because I didn't know you were going to turn up, but I did get something prepared, so I'm glad you did. What we're going to do, I'm going to watch one quick video on the history of colorism from, it looks like MTV did it. It'll just be 5 minutes, and then afterwards we'll pick a brain, we'll talk for a few minutes, and then we'll go on to the Black ownership. But I'm sure the other brothers and sisters who are listening will enjoy this conversation anyway. So let's have a listen as we go through this breaking news segment. All right, fantastic. Hold on. Is it this one? All right, rewind.
Today, friends, we're talking about the light-skinned elephant in the room and why it keeps getting all of the attention. In the world of pop culture, darker-skinned women have frequently gotten the short end of the success stick. Just consider the most successful Black female singers in the last decade. You could probably come up with dozens of names, including Alicia Keys, Ciara, Mariah Carey, Jhené Aiko, and of course, Beyonce. But can you name even 5 deeply melanated female pop stars? I mean, we did have Brandy as Cinderella, but that was 20 years ago. Wait, was it? From Lena Horne, the first Black actress to sign a major studio deal, to Halle Berry, the first Black actress to win a Best Actress Academy Award, lighter-skinned and often mixed-race women have usually broken through society's biggest barriers first. Now, this isn't to say they weren't hardworking or didn't deserve it, but Black people with lighter skin, straighter hair, and more Eurocentric features have always been more likely to be given the paltry number of opportunities to access white spaces and institutions. This is the reality. But why? Now, before we answer that, we gotta say, who's considered dark-skinned or light-skinned is all relative and definitely varies from culture to culture. But for our purposes, when we say light-skinned, think Nicki Minaj, Zoe Kravitz, Rihanna, Zendaya. And when we say dark-skinned, think Viola Davis, Kelly Rowland, and Lupita. The roots of this light versus dark inequality stem all the way back to the days of slavery, when lighter-skinned slaves, often the mixed children of white slave owners, aka the product of rape, aka your not slick Thomas Jefferson, were given domestic work as opposed to the physical labor of darker slaves, thus landing higher on the skin tone hierarchy because of their proximity to whiteness. This separation was enacted based on the slave traders' false beliefs that darker-skinned people were better suited for hard labor, whereas lighter-skinned blacks were thought to be better suited for intelligent and domestic tasks. Don't get it twisted though, whether in the house or in the field, they were still enslaved, so it was definitely not a choice, no matter what your weird cousin on Facebook says. Out of the house slave versus field slave mentality came white supremacist stereotypes that framed light-skinned people as the good blacks and darker-skinned people as lazy, unintelligent, unattractive, undesirable, criminal, aggressive, and just all around bad. Now, while the skin tone hierarchy known as colorism is a byproduct of white supremacy, it's not just a white thing. Stereotypical figures like the angry black woman and sassy black friend are unfortunately also present in black-made media. In the recent past, there have been numerous examples of black people in the media perpetuating the idea that lighter is better. The popular 90s sitcom Martin, as brilliant as it was, is a shining example of this problem. Light-skinned Gina was positioned as attractive, intelligent, and funny versus her dark-skinned friend Pam, who despite being bangin', was often coded as unattractive and the butt of many of Martin's jokes. And what we will not do is stand for anyone coming for sitcom legend Tashina Arnold. And there's been even more recent instances of this. Remember that time Kanye West held a Yeezy casting asking for multiracial women only? Or when the casting call for the movie Straight Outta Compton described A girls as the hottest of the hottest with real hair and D girls as, and I quote, African American girls, poor, not in good shape, medium to dark skin tone. Yikes, it be your own people. Or remember when rapper Kodak Black, himself a dark-skinned black man, said that he doesn't date women who share his complexion because they're too gutter? Come on now, Kodak, black is in your name. These examples point to the fact that many black people, even those with the power to create change within their own industries, sometimes internalize the very colorist stereotypes that have kept them down. Now, the media doesn't necessarily cause colorism.
Fam, there's only 1 minute left, so let's have a keep listening, but we're sorry if the video is jumpy. It might be StreamYard, who knows? I don't know. Or it might be someone trying to sabotage progress. Who knows? Let's listen.
But it reinforces it in ways that have real world.
Looks like it's still jumping. Oh, dear. Might have to stop it there. Well, I think we got the picture. There was some. Oh, hold on. Is everything just frozen? Is this what we're dealing with today? Oh, mic check. Oh, come on. This is just. Maybe there's an issue with YouTube in general. I don't know. Mike. Oh. Well, brother Golden, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Excellent. Cool, that's good. So I don't know what it is, but normally we have very smooth running videos, but for some reason today, StreamYard just seems to be rebelling. But either way, we've heard enough from there. But that was just a brief intro to one form of colorism, or shadism, or colorism, I should say. Yeah. Historical. Now, brother, explain because I'll just do a brief intro. I came across your Instagram somehow, maybe through algorithm, and I saw you were saying that you identify as a golden person and that you've experienced mistreatment from black people or dark-skinned black people,
Sir.
and you're making, and because of this, you've decided you want to make a distinction between what you're calling golden people, is it golden? I believe golden people and black people. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That is exactly correct.
Okay, and I think we then spoke about, were you aware of the were you aware of like the brown paper bag test and I guess what the sister was talking about in this video that was jumping very badly about like the history of how, you know, the closer you were to seen as European or have European features or lighter in skin, this kind of stuff, you were given, you know, preferential treatment. This is within the black community and out of the black community.
Yes, sir.
And so, but you're aware of that history, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay. So, when black people were mistreated, so I can't really. You have to tell your story. What is it that was happening that you felt was a form of mistreatment or the consistency that you saw? Just let us know.
Well, not only the fact of people just talking shit to me, just coming to my page and just, you know, saying racist remarks, you know what I'm saying? But then just getting involved with other biracial people on the internet and hearing their stories and their experiences, it just made me, you know what I'm saying, drift away from the pro-black space. And I just completely just denounced my blackness altogether because I just got tired of this shit.
Okay, three things, bro. What we do, because this platform goes all over the world, we try not to use any slight profanity, and sometimes we don't. Yeah, I know it's hard. Many people do try.
Excuse my language.
Yeah, that's okay. But another thing. Okay, so you mentioned something that you said that you were once pro-black. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. And by going on the internet and was it an experience? Because the thing you're trying to push forward, it is literally tone, isn't it? So whether someone has one black parent, a two black parent who define
if they have any recent mixture, and I don't really care about just the skin tone. If the person is mixed and they identify as mixed, then that's all it is. I mean, they got some mixed people who just look white. So as long as they're mixed and they identify as mixed, that's all that matters to me. It's not really just about skin tone. Right.
Okay. So it's about also acknowledging historical admixture, right? Is that?
Yes, sir. That's what it's about.
So one of the things that the lady mentioned in there was that unfortunately a lot of the new tone that influence in the diaspora actually came through Europeans forcing themselves on black women, and because of that there was like unions formed between what they called mulattoes and Negroes, and then you would have those going back into the one community, and then obviously you get variable shades because of this kind of lineage, to the point where they say almost every single Negro person or black person today will have some form of European ancestry. But what you're saying is, regardless of all that, if someone can be perceived as mulatto or mixed race or biracial, and they identify, this is the group that you're talking about, right?
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
And this comes about by being mistreated by, what you're saying, black people.
Yes. You know what I'm saying? Not just that, but, you know, our struggle is clearly different. Like, it's similar. We have a similar struggle, but we definitely have a different struggle. You know what I'm saying? Like, my struggle is not the same as a fully dark-skinned black person. And there's no debate in that.
Right. But then what if someone was to argue that say that black women's struggle might be different from black men's struggle? So should
I mean, yeah, I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I agree with that. And I even have a different struggle than a lot of light-skinned women, just like the woman was explaining in the video, light-skinned and mixed women do get placed on a pedestal in the African-American community. I'm very aware of this. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I agree with that.
Right. What we're saying is, rather than trying to divide a historical group that has been trying to work together for so long, would it not be actually try to see the leg? Because usually they say a lot of these challenges, unfortunately, stems from the legacy of what they call as white supremacy. And they're saying that that's just something that's just there. So rather than dividing amongst a group, is to recognize that shortcoming, that illness, and then have strategies to remove it, and then have codes of conduct so we don't repeat some of the shortcomings that came from it. Have you ever heard of that before, bro?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Okay. Have you ever been around dark-skinned people who treat you very well?
I mean, yeah. I mean, most of my family's dark skinned.
Right. So, okay. So, are you saying that with the movement you're doing, they're not really included in this kind, in what the thing, the operations you're doing, the ideas, they're not really included? Is that right?
No.
Right. Okay. So when you have this new kind of like identity word, what does it do? What is the purpose, like, for you personally? What is the purpose of this word, of what this new kind of branding?
What's the purpose? The
Yes.
purpose is just for us to have a voice, period. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Okay.
We don't really have a voice being in the pro-black spaces because the pro-black space isn't really acknowledging the mixed plight. And if they do,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying, it's not really, you know what I'm saying? We just need our own space, man, to have a voice, man. And we
I
don't
hear that.
really have a voice, you know what I'm saying, just being in the pro-black community.
I hear that.
I
So
don't feel as though we do.
well, let's break this down. So this is called the Black Betterment Broadcast, and what we do is we recognize the historical, everyone who's registered as Negro, colored, mulatto, Pardo, and in the diaspora, African, and all the other. We've got a list that we'll get up in a minute. But we generally recognize everyone in that kind of group. That we invite them to practice Black Bearman. And definitely we send a link out, so everyone struggle, we can try to, like, you do case studies and find solutions for it. So the fact that you've come and you've identified as a problem is something we're definitely interested in. But once again, we'll have to have a historical framework to work from. So we played the video about brown paper bag and that kind of stuff. So I'm saying that what we've observed, or what I've observed, and we can have a back and forth, is historically lighter skinned Black people were pushed ahead of darker skinned people for a multitude of reasons, usually by the what they call the dominant society, which is the Europeans and the white people. And because of this, there was a form of favoritism where there was then sort of infighting in the group. So you tend to find that there were many groups and institutions of light-skinned individuals who didn't necessarily want to associate with dark-skinned individuals, and then they had the things like the brown paper bag test, and this was also further for in division because the dark-skinned brothers were thinking, well, we're in the same boat here, literally, and you've now, because of the Europeans' influence, you're now trying to segregate, even though you're never truly going to be one of them. So this caused confusion. So whenever I talk to light-skinned people who say, "Oh, I've been mistreated by Black people," I always say, is it a reaction? Is it a domino effect, or is it just a natural thing that happens? And when we actually start talking about, it's actually a reaction. It's a reaction to how society is, and that's where we usually start the conversation. Have you been aware of any of that?
Have I been aware of what?
Of darker skinned people reacting to favoritism, privileges placed upon being lighter in skin tone, more opportunities being provided. For example, we actually study. So, have you heard of Ham's Redemption, brother?
No, not
I'm
that.
glad you did. So, unfortunately, the screen is so slow. But if I can actually click on it now, let me see if it can work. Add to. I think it's this one. Let me try that. Is this one? Oh yeah, it is good. So what we do, we study the history all throughout the diaspora. So you're from an Anglo country, like an English speaking country, as I am. But we're based in the UK, right? And what we've realized is the strategy of destroying our people, even separate people, but we see it as one people, was a form of segregation. You see, yeah, racial segregation. That was the technique, right? And we can see here, Caribbean, USA, apartheid, all this kind of stuff. This was where what you do, you divide two people, yeah, and what you divide like the dominant society and the enslaved society, which is the Black people, the Negroes, the Africans, and then what you do is you have the Europeans have all the wealth, and then you have the Blacks needing wealth and then struggling, and then you also create divisions, and then you create a kind of like hierarchy in there. That was a strategy that happened in America that I'm sure you're well aware of, right? However, in Brazil, Argentina, and all the Spanish, Portuguese speaking countries, they had a very different technique. Their technique was something known as racial whitening. So your nation practiced racial segregation, but they practiced racial whitening. Now, what that was they said that we're not going to give any education, jobs, or political status or land to Negroes, Black people, yeah. But what we will do is, whoever the lighter you get, the more choices you get, to eventually you become white, right? And they said it will take between 2 and 4 generations to see a new white person. You see, this is what they said, right? So then naturally now, when you go to places like Argentina, there is no Black people; they're all white. there's a small number still there, but generally, you go from like 50% to 60% of population down to like 1.1%, right? And it's happening in Brazil. It happens in all Spanish-speaking countries, and we're actually watching this process slowly happen in the UK and this kind of stuff, right? So when those kind of ideologies are out there, where they say your Africanity, the things that make you distinct, your hair, your skin color, it's grotesque, and we want to get rid of it. And even if you're light skinned, the fact that you're still displaying this, we don't like it. However, you are closer to us than to what you once were, so you can get a bit more privileges. All these things we're aware causes infighting and low self-esteem and inner hatred, right? Now, it's not saying it's right or wrong coming from the mistreated group, but we can identify that we are the mistreated group. And it's about how do we react to that bigger threat that's causing that division. So what I would say is, if when you get time, you should Google the word Ham's Redemption. I don't know if I've got. I think I had a picture somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Fantastic. Right. Fantastic. Here we go. 778. So I've got so many images in here, and my machine's so rubbish. Give me 14 seconds to find that picture. It's almost there. Well, there we go. So this picture, you might not be seeing on your screen. This is a picture of a dark-skinned Negro, what they call Negro Brazilian woman, a Spanish, Portuguese-speaking black woman, right? And what's happened is she, because of the Ham's Redemption protocol and racial whitening, the political stance, she's praying to the white Jesus that she's happy she found a white man to have a child with, and now she has what you would call maybe a golden person. Some people say colored, some say biracial, some say mulatto, some say pardo, right? And then what she's even more happy because now this mulatto individual has found another European, and that means their child would then be, there's different terms that we'll show you the terms. They have these new terms that you might not be aware of, but we document it just so you can know. There we go. There we go. So can you see here? If you, I hope your screen can see it. So what we have is the black, what they define as black. That's what they say here. And this might be the Aboriginal people on America, or the Aboriginal black Africans, or the black people in Africa, right? They call that black, and this is what you call like a European white. This is what they use the term white and black. And then when those two come together and they procreate, then what it produces is what they call mulatto. This is historical terms, mulatto, you see. And then obviously they use the term quadroon, octoroon, and then white, or we could say new white, as in now you've successfully destroyed the legacy of Negro, black Africa, the kind of stuff. So now you can have rights, and now we don't have to pay reparations, or if we do, we'll pay it to that person. So these are the strategies that people who hate black people cause, but they also cause division, as in making sure that we mistreat each other based upon languages, might be based upon skin tone, based upon so many things. So because we're aware of this, we document it, and we try to find a strategy of how to better ourselves, knowing this information. You see, were you aware of this stuff before coming on this platform, bro?
Yeah, I'm aware of some of it.
So would you say that when the dark-skinned Negroes and the golden mulattoes are fighting today, would you say that is a natural thing that group would do, or would you say it's heavily influenced by the group that kind of is over them, the dominant side, the enslavement group? How would you say that's correct or not correct?
Personally, I think it might be a little bit of both, honestly.
Would you say that the dark-skinned people who were enslaved in your land, would you say that they were completely robbed of their original culture, or would you think that they came over and they still speak the same language, they still have the same ways, or would you say that they were introduced to a new way of operating? Would you say that?
For the most part, they were given a new culture, stripped away of their original culture. But I'm from Louisiana, and some of us still kept on to like we have small pieces of African culture still within African American culture, but for the most part it's been stripped away.
Now, yeah. So would you say that African culture might be demonized while European culture is venerated? Would you say that?
Yeah, yes, definitely. Like I'm from Louisiana, and voodoo is really big down there. And
Right.
I'm always hearing black people, just knocking it and talking
Right.
down on it. And
Okay.
I've be, it is what it is, man. They're
Well, let's
really
unpack that.
delusional and brainwashed, but
Okay, you use a good word there, brother, because what you're saying is anything that is deemed as African or Aboriginal or other than European is demonized. But then what I would say to you is, do you know about marketing? Like you know this word marketing, right? You
yeah,
know that, right? Now, would you say that Coca-Cola is a very healthy drink?
probably not.
No, it's probably the opposite of healthy, right? The amount of sugar's in there. But would you say it might be one of the best-selling drinks?
Definitely.
Right. So here we have a drink that is not healthy. That's the best selling drink. And do you know what the one thing that makes that possible? Do you know what it is?
Yeah, good marketing.
Thank you. So would you say that Europeans have a machine of marketing that is superior to black people's marketing machine? Would you say that?
Yes, I would.
There you go. So what we're saying is, unfortunately, the years and years of marketing from Europeans, white people, in all over the world, unfortunately, has created a scenario where black people have low self-esteem and high levels of self-hate. You see, and what happens is we end up fighting each other. You see, and this tends to happen especially around certain times when we get organized. So whenever certain movements start getting going, we start realizing just then there's some kind of new technique to divide, and it's a marketing strategy, a very clever one. And we say, okay, let us recognize it. And how we recognize by having codes. So one of the codes is we don't mistreat people based upon shade. We don't do this, or color, as we would say, within the black community. We don't do this because we understand it's a superior technique that has been very successful many years. And what we find as black people is every 20, 40 years, the same technique is used to divide, you see? So we're saying that why don't we try to get 2 steps ahead like a chess game rather than Cluedo, right? And why don't we actually we prepared for it and we have a code of conduct to do it. So in this forum, brother, even though you might identify as mulatto, colored, you have one black parent, you're welcome to participate in all the activities we do. You're welcome. Yeah. There will be no name calling. The reason there can't be name calling is because it's against the code. So we get rid of name calling one because it's hard to actually do constructive work when people are using profanity. However, from a deeper standpoint, we understand that black people use those names to mistreat other black people. So we're saying when we're practicing this lifestyle, yeah, we don't do that. You see? So we're trying to create a scenario that minimizes black people infighting. It's very challenging. But what's going to happen now, brothers? You might be around so many constructive black people, right, who uphold these kinds of codes. But you might go to a shop, you might go to another country, and you're going to be around black people who don't. When you do that, what we say is we don't judge our reactions to black people by those who are what we call unsynchronized. So when a person wants to be constructive and practice black betterment, we call them synchronized. When a person wants to not do this and potentially mistreat black people, we call them unsynchronized, right? And they're not synchronized with black betterment. So we're saying try to judge black people by the synchronized number, not the unsynchronized number. But here's the sad thing as well, because unfortunately we're collectively inadequate, and that means something, and collectively we have no friends. Unfortunately, there are many black people who are unsynchronized. Many. I witnessed you talking to a black lady in the forum. I think you were trying to say, look at what she's saying. And she said one or two good things, but for the most part, she was very unsynchronized, you see.
Right.
She was using name calling and colorism and this kinds of stuff, right? And
Right.
also, she also, I think, might have identified with the LGBT community, and I know that was some kind of
Yeah, she's just very confused. Like she wants to be this super pro-African, and she's against colonialism, and but you practice Islam, not realizing that Arabs and Arabic people brought Islam to Africa. It's like,
well,
why don't you practice a traditional African culture? It's like these people are silly, man, but they
hold
got
on.
so much smoke for me.
Yeah, I hear that, and I understand that when you've been through something, that's how you see things. So what we try to do is we try to find a way of communicating that minimizes anxiety. Yeah, and it's very challenging because obviously black people are not a monolith, and with years of distinct histories, it's hard to know where people are going to end up. But we do know this high anxiety language. So when I run some of my forums, we understand that miscegenation, which is where a black person doesn't pick a black partner, homosexuality, and religion, these three topics cause much anxiety, and we try to be very careful when we talk about it. It's very challenging. But within this forum here, we're trying to unite Black people to be constructive, you see? And we understand it's going to be a very small thing. Now, brother, as I'm talking to you, I'm realizing there's questions in the group. So by all means, you can ask the brother questions, and if you wish to answer them, you can. So feel free to ask questions. So because I've been talking, I haven't been reading, so there might have been some, right? But if you got any questions to ask the brother, ask him. But brother, hopefully what you can do is research some of the things we're saying that you want to aware of. But also look at this as well. So right now on the screen, we did a case study. So you know Australia, right? Australia, the big country near New Zealand. In that country, they have people that they also call Black people, black fellas, but they're Aboriginal melanated people from that land, and they say they migrate from Africa maybe 80,000 years ago, very long time ago, but they retain many of the Aboriginal features that you might find in Africa, including high levels of melanin. And what happens in that country is we see a similar pattern with other countries when Europeans go there, is you find a high level of Aboriginals who are alcoholic or drug addicts, and they're very quick to try to marry Europeans, the people who enslaved them, and they have low self-esteem. They don't really like their culture much, many of them, unfortunately. And what we're finding is because of some people, what they do is their great grandfather was a Aboriginal, and they still identify as Aboriginal, but they marry white people and they keep doing it. So what's happening is the racial whitening technique that they put in has taken place and fully transitioned the dark-skinned Aboriginal to a white, blonde, blue-eyed so-called Aboriginal. But what's happening is the government recognized, because they massacred them and killed them, similar to they did to the African Americans and stuff like that, is, well, what we should do is we should start giving them some kind of incentives and funding for them to get work and to fix themselves up. But what they're finding is that the white Aboriginal people, or the people like the blonde ones and this kind of stuff, well, they're getting all the funding, while the black ones, they're still segregated in a beat up town drinking alcohol, you see, and not being able to get the stuff. So this is stuff that we've observed, and we're seeing patterns all over the world of this behavioral pattern. Are you aware of this, brother?
Not really.
Okay. Well, this is what we do here is because we're obviously based in the UK, you're in America, and we have many American listeners, we have Canadians, we have Ethiopians, we have all over the world. And we try to collate information to see if there's a consistency in the mistreatment of Black people. We also try to see the consistency in the division of Black people. So there was once a time where this tribe was seen as Black and this tribe was seen as Black. Then maybe a German or American or an English person went there and said, you know what, you're Caucasoid, you're Negroid. You know, they designed terms to separate the two and go, you're close to us because of your head shape, or you're closer because of your nose, or you're closer because of the language you speak. So you should rule over these guys. And then what happens naturally, that's the minority group that they pick. And then there's divisions. And then when the war goes on, they're not warring the European to use the proxy technique to control people. They war the minority group that was given power from the dominators, right? And this is something that you seem to be mentioning in your process now. And then what you do is you get the darker skinned people, unfortunately, from your land who are showing, dissatisfaction with that dynamic, and they're letting you know through the way they speak.
Right.
You see? So, like I said, brother, you're always welcome to come on the show and express yourself. And if you have any problems, we're going to try to find solutions, because we don't see a separation in light-skinned Black people, dark-skinned Black people with admixture, Black people with low admixture. We don't really, from a strategy standpoint, it doesn't make sense. There's too little of us and there's too much challenges, and it's a repeated process. So here, you should be mistreated. So if you come in any space that's controlled by the Betterment Broadcast and people follow the Betterment lifestyle, if they mistreat you, you can say, hold a minute, I thought you were practicing Betterment. Why are you practicing shadism or colorism or any kind of isms that separates the collective Black group?
Yeah, I got you.
Now, have you ever, in the circles you go to, have you ever heard Black people speak how I'm speaking today, like trying to be solution-based, trying to understand the plight, and trying to work with someone to better the collective group? Have you really come across that much?
Not really too much that I can think of. It's like, for the most part, since I was involved with the pro-Black space, it's just a lot of hate,
Mm.
Negativity towards mixed people, like for the most part. And it's pretty much every time I get on social media, I see something new, you know.
So one thing you're going to realize here before we wrap up, because we have to carry on to some stuff. But one thing before we wrap up is and family, you all have questions, so feel free to ask it. Is we promote Black love. It's one of the main like things. It's very important. So when we say Black love, any person who is in the Black community can practice Black love, meaning a member marries or unites with another member, right, of the community. So that could be a light-skinned person, a mulatto person, a Negro person, an African person. Once you're in this collective group, we are working as a unit to promote that. So when we say we promote Black love, we're not saying that we're against people with one Black parent, because there was one woman who tried to make a case for this on some internet thing. We had to try to debate her. We're not saying it. We're saying that you as a person are within the community and you're welcome to practice all the initiatives that we're pushing forward. And there's certain things that we strongly recommend, and that is Black love. So wherever you find yourself, marrying a Black person. So for example, if you look on the screen at the moment, what you're going to notice is this is England at the moment. Give me 5 seconds. Hold on. Here it is. This is England at the moment, right? And these are all our UK politicians. Now, some people say that unfortunately, when Black people get into politics, they tend to not do anything for Black people. I don't know if that's true or not. We have to really do a further case study. But what we have noticed in England, every single Black politician, regardless of what team they're on, Conservative or Labour, or whatever it might be, right? They all marry to white women, you see? And then all their children tend to marry white people, right? So what we're realizing is, remember when I told you about this word racial whitening?
Yeah.
We're so aware of it that this, what you might be describing, might be a biological war, where they understand, an economical war, definitely, where we understand we can give these small groups of Black people money and it will come back to our community because they're going to marry our daughters anyway. And then within 2 or 3 generations, they're going to be white, a new white, right? So this is what the research we're doing. This is what we're doing. So you as a biracial or golden person, as you call yourself, you are welcome to practice Black Betterment to reverse this. So we don't fall for, I'm going to go out and marry a non-Black person or a non-golden person, right? And then what we're trying to say is, let us find institutions, ideas, ownership, and all that kind of stuff amongst our collective group. And then what we can do is we can have media content where we're training and educating Black people how to practice Black Betterment. So we don't end up mistreating the golden people, like you call yourself, and the Negroes, right? Or the Black people. Right? We use marketing, the same marketing that made Coke the most dangerous drink on the market, the most beloved, is the same marketing we can be using to make Black people love Black people, because we've been trained to hate each other. And how do we know that? Because, brother, you've come on the show and you've just said, I've been hated everywhere I go. So we understand that that's what's been happening. Now, I'm going to read some questions, brother, just because I know some people might want to ask questions. So one question is, can you give some examples of hate? So we got example. Can you give me some examples of hate that you face?
Can I give you some example? Well, I can give you one right now, and I'll just give you one. I just got done watching almost an hour-long video of a gentleman who goes by the name Dr. Umar Johnson. Mm-hmm. He had a 45-minute long video attacking another brother who goes by Sarah Sutanseti. He attacked this brother over his skin. There's a whole 45-minute video on it. You can go look it up. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just one example. I can give more, but that's just one example.
That's a good one. We're going to cover that. You've given a good example. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write that one down, and I'm going to answer. I'm going to try to give you some kind of response to that while we go through the others. So the next one is what I'm trying to learn today. I might need some special. Hold on. It's so confusing to understand this group format, especially as rebuttal to pro-Blackness. I think we need to pick a side. There are true is no what white people hate about. No, I'm just trying to see if there's a question there. Hold me back. Okay, cool. What is the privilege inherit? I'm looking for. Okay, I don't think there's any questions. So they're just talking about themselves. So let me go to your answer. I've seen that. I've seen where Umar Johnson and Sarah Sutanseti going arguing, and then obviously Umar Johnson then started using racial terms. And this is something we see historically throughout history, where And what you have to understand is when we start this show, we say that black people. I'm just going to go there. It's just very important. It's right to the top. And this is where is it? We start every show. If you were here, you'd heard us saying that black people are collectively inadequate. And yeah, it's cool to jump on, sister. Everyone's welcome to jump on. Feel free to jump on. Uh, so what the reason I say that is because even though there's some of us who know we're right, I mean, we know what we're doing is right, trying to fix it. There's many damaged. And if you were to talk to Brother Umar Johnson afterwards, was it correct for him to say that? I'm sure he would say no, as I think he has afterwards, right? But this is what plagues us. This is the sickness that we have learned. And in regards of how we get educated, it's still in us. For example, there's some people, they're Christian and stuff, right? And they learned that Jesus was Norwegian looking. And even though they see Ethiopian pictures or black pictures of Jesus, whatever, now in their later years, they can't unsee the white Jesus or the Nordic Jesus. They can't. Even though they know that if he was from Norway, he would have died of skin cancer. They still can't because it's been edged in their mind, you see? And that is what marketing does. It gets you young and it builds a pillar in your head that's hard to break down. And I suspect from my research that many of these brothers who are pro-black, because of the historical damage, and this is including Sarah Susette as well, with the language he uses when he speaks, there's a history of that damage and trauma. Now, this doesn't justify it, but it allows us to try to fix it by, in this particular show, the first thing when you came on, you used some kind of terms, and I said, brother, in this show, we don't use those terms, right? And this happens, the reason we do this because by constantly doing this and edging out these kinds of way of thinking, whenever we get very upset or disrupted, we won't go to our default tongue of mistreating black people. And I suspect the majority of black people have hatred toward black people in some form, but they spend their life trying to mask it, and some don't even do that. So we're trying to fix that. So that's my answer to what you said, bro.
All right.
I think there's another question. If he's looking to avoid the reason to cancel his black card, then that's okay. So I think the brother's saying that. I don't think the brother's trying to cancel his black card. I think what he's saying is because of the mistreatment he's faced and what he sees consistently for going on the internet, he wants to have a separate naming group. And I guess it's done in a form to, I think he was saying he feels that as a lighter skinned brother or maybe a biracial brother or both, his voice isn't heard and it's jumped over.
I've accepted the rejection. As simple as that. I've accepted the rejection that I've gotten. Period. So right. It is what it is.
But the thing is, brother, and this is something, and this is hard because when a trauma talks to a trauma, you get more trauma, right? And what's happened? We're gonna have some dark-skinned brown sisters who might come on, and because they themselves have gone through so much trauma, and it might be at the hands of what they call as colorism, which is lighter-skinned people mistreating darker-skinned people. That's the definition of it, right? They might find it hard because they're thinking I've gone through what they might deem as 80% pain, while you've gone through 40% pain, and now I have to humble myself to your 40% pain. But however, brother, we're joined by Empress Kush. We're going to invite her to the stage. Welcome, Empress Kush. Welcome to the show. Black Betterment.
Black Betterment. Bless up. Welcome, Golden.
How you doing?
Cool.
Now, Empress Kush, you're probably new to this because this is a brother I came across whilst in the internet land on Instagram, and he was using some words that I didn't understand at first. So when I asked him, he broke down his position. So I invited him on Black Betterment, saying that this is a place where we understand there's much trauma in our black community, and we try to find solutions, and we try to use those solutions as a strategy and a marketing deploy to minimize those pains, so the future generations don't go through the same trauma that most of us have gone through. Do you have any questions you would like to ask for hearing what you were saying, sister?
Yeah, I've got a few questions. I think I'm not sure if this got answered or not properly because I've been in and out, but did you say that you identified, I think you said, as biracial? Do you have a white parent or
yes, I have a black parent and a white parent.
Oh, okay. And so this group that you applying that you're talking about is from people of biracial, correct?
Not just biracial, but multiracial as well. Anybody that's mixed, has a recent mixed ancestor.
Okay, so if they're mixed, for example, with Japanese and white, they're a part of it as well. They don't have to. You got
to be mixed with black.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't identify with them because that's a completely different mixture, and they don't have my struggle in any type of way.
Okay. So when you were saying that you feel that your plight is not taken into account, what do you mean? Can you give some examples into that?
Can I give some examples?
Yeah. So what you typically find with that you feel that
You,
as an
you have you ever heard the term tragic mulatto before?
yeah.
Well, there you go. That's one example right there. Pretty much answered your
But I
question.
mean the tragic mulatto came from the
I
white.
wouldn't say I'm tragic personally, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other mixed people that feel that way.
Just to jump in, brother, just because you're
Oh,
using historical terms, before, you use the term tragic mulatto, and I think she's
Yeah,
just pointing out that's a historical term. That's almost like That's almost like the coon term, and it's not similar, but it came out from the Europeans to describe something that they see, as in because you have a white parent and a black parent, this is a tragedy. You see, a
yeah.
tragic mulatto. That's not really something that black people have historically made promoted. But carry on, sister. Let me not jump because you're cooking. Go ahead. Sorry about this.
that's fine. Thanks for clarifying it. I was trying to say that to him. So um yeah, so okay, so I'm just kind of looking for some examples because you're saying that your plight is against black people not understanding. So the tragic mulatto, as Brother Raven clarified for us, literally came from the white man. So I'm
Yeah,
trying
well,
to
I mean, it might have came
black
from him, but
people.
I can clearly
Yeah.
see that, I have a different plight. If I'm facing racism from both sides, it's clearly something different going on.
Okay, but you can't really give me any examples of how you feel that your plight is not getting recognized. You're just saying that you feel it.
Like I said, I gave y'all an example, like Dr. Umar when he attacked SETI. I mean, he kind of exposed it. It's like we clearly have a different plight. I mean, it really shouldn't even have to be explained. We have a different phenotype. Just that alone should tell you that our experience in this world is not exactly the same. We don't even look the same
The same as who?
as a regular, real black person. I don't look the same as an actual black person. Some people in this world don't even see me as black. They see me as something completely different. Sometimes I have to tell people what I am.
But I mean, there's some people who come from two black parents and they say that they get the same plight. So I wouldn't say that. I'd say that black is not one type. There's loads of shades and hair textures and phenotypes. Like that's kind of like I don't know, class 101 of coming out of that white supremacy mindset, right? We know that all black people don't look the same.
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that, I think it's more difficult because I know that I think you said that you're from America, so I know that there's a one drop rule, and it's quite interesting for you to say that you're breaking away from that and you want your own kind of identity. I think that's kind of different for over here. So like hearing, for example, you saying that that your phenotype is different and things like that, we don't necessarily come from that kind of mindset. We understand that, like the tragic mulatto, we kind of understand where these kind of terms had kind of come from. I don't think we necessarily can believe that there's a one phenotype for black people. There's even someone in the comments today who said that he's got both black parents and he still gets mistaken for mixed race a lot, which kind of goes to show that there's full black people who can look mixed race.
I'm not gonna say y'all wrong, but majority of those light skinned black people that I be knowing, they really do be mixed, and some of those genes from be skipping over a couple generations. Some of these so-called fully light-skinned black people be having white grandparents and all that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Maybe
So you feel
I'm
that
wrong.
your separation is just because of how you look, because you feel that
No,
certain types of
it's not just because of how I look. Because like I said before, there's mixed people come in a variety of phenotypes. Like
they
there's some
do,
mixed people
yeah.
who look just white. You know what I'm saying?
And there's some that look just
They
black.
got their own struggle. You know what I'm saying? So my struggle is different from theirs too. You know what I'm saying?
Brother, but just to help out, I've put on the screen a picture of many people who identified as black, and you're seeing, and what you might observe is many multi different phenotypes, textures, colors, and so on. And I think the thing is, the problem is when you start doing this divide, which I understand. I think it's okay to have terms to describe different types and groups within a group, but the challenge is when we use that as a form of overall division or separation. This is always going to be problematic. Yeah, because automatically people will say things like, light skin, yellow, dark skin, blue, black, this ethnic group, that ethnic group. It happens by just a natural way of humans trying to, look at differences here and there, right? But the problem is when you try to quantify it, it becomes very challenging. So we understand that dark skinned people and light skinned people in the Americas you could have a dark skinned person who has similar percentage ratio of admixture to a light skinned person, but they just inherit in different ways, right? Because it's like a lottery.
Right.
You can go to Africa,
right,
and you can get a light skinned person who they call Khoisan or San, who has no admixture to other people groups, who are lighter than you see many maybe what they call biracial or mixed people within the continent, out the continent, right?
right.
So
And
there's
they're
so many
100%
arrangements.
African.
Yeah, they're 100% African DNA, right? So, but then what I'm saying is, what we do is we actually get all these groups and we put them together in it. I mean, like we're doing here, and we realize that even the ones we think are similar, there are differences. You see, and just like you're going through your particular challenge, they too are going through their challenge, and like it could be a black person who has slim features on their bone structure, and there's one who has longer features on their bone structure, right? One whose melanin count is at a high ratio, meaning on a Pantone, they have a much darker hue versus one that's on the browner hue. You see? There's so many. The one because they use things like 4C, 3C, 4B, all this kind of here.
But Brother Raven,
Go ahead, sister. Go ahead, sister.
No, I'm just saying because I mean, I don't know if the brother wants to respond to that because Raven gave you a real good breakdown of kind of like the logic you're saying in regards to, I mean, even looking at the picture and stuff like.
See if I can make it go. So
that's even better.
Push the color button just so. There you go. So, yeah. So as you can see, brother, these are all people who historically at some point or another have been registered legally as black, meaning when they go to certain lands or on their land, the government will say you're black, and that means you have to then have these things or none of these things. When you go to this place, this is how you're registered. Negro, black, sub-Saharan African, these kind of synonymous terms that we're using, Aboriginal, but it's all intertwined. And some of them have admixture, some of them don't. Some have admixture with themselves, some don't. Some have older ancient ethnic groups, some are relatively new. But this is just a small picture.
But to bring it down to the point though, that's the people on here who might happen to have certain phenotypes, certain skin texture, skin tones, certain hair textures will be fundamentally have black parents, will be full black. And this is why this kind of, this, I think predominantly like the culture's kind of moved on from kind of trying to label who's black and who's not by looking at them. Do you know what I mean? So I kind of, I don't know if Golden wants to like talk to that point, but I just kind of think that that's not really it's not a valid point to hold up on. I've got other questions on that, but I don't know if he still wants to answer to what you're saying to him on that.
Well, all right. What did you want me to answer?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, what did you want me to answer? What was the question?
No, but what Brother Raven was showing you there. So the picture, can you see the screen? Are you looking at your phone?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah. Did you hear what Brother Raven was saying to you about the different people on here that all classified as black? The people on there.
Not all of them. I am aware that there's many Horn Africans in East Africa that do not identify with being black. They actually identify as being Caucasian.
You're
and I think this is the fundamental point. It's not about the tone, right? I think that this is what the main point is that what he, like he said, there's some people in there who won't class himself as black. So if Golden doesn't classify himself as black or as African descendant, right?
I'm African descent, but I'm not black.
Okay.
So Okay, so let me ask you some questions, Golden. If Brother Raven will just allow me a couple of minutes, yeah.
Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
All right. So you said that you said, can you just say that again to me, please?
I said I am of African descent, but I'm not black.
Okay. So what does that? But in these terms now, you said that you're forming a separate group and you don't want to be classified with the pro-blacks. Is that just a pro-black, or you just don't want to be associated with the black label and you want your own label as mixed heritage or biracial?
Yes, I'm on my own label.
Right. So you don't see yourself in the black struggle. You don't care about the black future. You don't care about the black plight. You just not concerned with anybody who you deemed as black, correct? You're just, your whole concern is about
I wouldn't say that. I'm just saying I accept the rejection that I received. So it's like I'm not going to care about it anymore. Like I was caring about it. You know what I'm saying? I still kind of do. You know what I'm still willing to work with pro-black people. It's just that,
okay.
you know, I'm just distancing myself.
Okay, so I hear you a bit clearer now. So your thing is that you, from your experience, it's been solely rejection from the pro-black community, right? So
About
your thing
75%
is,
of the time, yeah.
okay. So so we're here now on Black Betterment, right? And so Black Betterment is about the improvement and going forward for black people. And I think Brother Raven broke it down for you earlier, but I'll just say it again, that in most of our terms, if you're of mixed heritage, but you move and you feel and you move with the spirit and you believe that you are a black person, then you are classified as black here. Yeah. So it's interesting having somebody who classifies them as mixed heritage, saying they don't classify themselves as black, but they understand they're African. Right. So my question to you is, and then I said to you, here we concerned ourselves on the black plight, and you're saying that you do care about what happens with black people, right? Fundamentally, and you're still willing to work with black people who want to progress black people. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So tell me, why would you feel the need to then create a separate group and not work with like-minded people who accept you as black anyway?
You know, it's the end of the day. I'm saying it's still not going to change the fact that there's still, you know, a large portion of black people that do not accept me. It's not going to change the fact there might be some that do, but it's not going to change the fact that there's a large portion of them that do not. So that's my answer to that.
Okay. So you'd rather move with the collective that don't accept you than move with the collective that does?
May you repeat that?
So you're kind of moving with the collective that don't accept you. You're basing your decisions on the collective that don't accept you, instead of basing your decisions with the collectives that do accept you.
I'm not just basing my decision just off that alone. I'm basing my decision in reality. It's like I do have a European parent, and if I want to live in peace with myself and be at peace with myself, I have to accept my full identity for what it is. I can't just accept one part of myself, because if I do that, then I'm going to be at odds with a completely another part of myself, and I don't want to look in the mirror every day and be at odds with myself. I want to be at peace with myself. So if I'm going to do that, I have to accept my identity fully for what it really is.
I respect that honesty on that, and I think that's something that needs to be noted. I think I've met, I know many people like you that have that same mindset, and I think that's gonna. I think that has to be taken account of, because I think with a Black Betterment mindset or a pro-Black mindset or a Pan-African mindset, any one of those is moving in a spirit of absolute blackness, right? It's black first. So if you're saying that where you have to acknowledge your other parent, then you're going to feel, like you said, some sort of conflict when you're around those kind of spaces. So let me ask you another question. One more question, Brother Raven.
Go ahead, sister.
So in your group of mixed heritage, or is it biracial? I don't want to offend, so I don't know which one it is. You
It's-
see, the names are different depending on who I'm talking to, which one I can say. Do you mind? Have I offended you, or we
no,
good?
no, you're good. You ain't
Alright.
offend me.
All right. So in your group, right, um, of mixed heritage people, right, going through the same plight and doing their thing for their plight, will they also, is it going to be aligned with pro-black, with black betterment? So would you be wanting to support black people within your group? Obviously you take care of home first in regards to the mixed race group, but would there be something within your policy to be able to take care of black people? Or because of, like you said, your the situation is where you would have both parents, would it be that you look after self first and then you'd equally help the, I don't know, for example, the Caucasian or the Chinese or whatever, and then the black? That's my last question on that. Did that make sense, Golden?
Not, kind of I kind of not understanding what you're asking me.
Okay, let me try and make it up. Sorry. So what I'm asking you is, in the group of the biracials, right?
Right.
So, for example, I said like where I'm at is like I'm pro-black, right? So I'm all about 100% the promotion of black and black forwardness, right? So that's where my energy is kept. That's where my energy is at to progress that. In the biracial group, would that be the same thing? Would the energy be on the progression of biracial people?
Um,
Or is it just
I
a
can't,
place?
I can't really speak for anybody else. You know what I'm saying? I don't
But
really
for
know what
yourself, because you've
some
been
of
talking
them,
to yourself.
maybe, but some of them
Yeah.
maybe not.
Okay. So would it just be a group of, just like you said, having a space to just be able to vent and speak,
Yeah,
and just a
pretty
safe
much.
space more than anything else?
No, it's pretty much it, man.
Okay.
Pretty much it.
All right then. Thank you for that, Brother Raven.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, just to show you a
Thank
document
you
we
for
have
that,
here.
Brother Golden.
There you go. So, brother, this is a document that we've got, and we've labeled all the areas of the world, and we've tried to get as many of the ethnic groups and collective groups that have been registered as black historically. And at the bottom it says Mount Merlin will recognize the identifiable biracial offspring of any one of these groups as black people or black heritage people. Yeah, as we always say, Afro descendants as well. So one thing is, when we write the word black, you see here. Let's see if I can show you. Here it is. We have this what we call the cinnamon star here. The cinnamon star. I pronounced it a bit wrong, but can you see it here? And what we're saying is this word has multiple meanings because some people don't identify the black. They don't like race, color, metaphor, whatever. And so sometimes people might say African. Some might say Nubian. Some might say Moorish, Ethiopian with A, Aboriginal, whatever it is, right? So we put that star there. That this word means one thing, but ultimately, what we are recognizing is black people are a collection of a collection working for protection and perfection. That's what it was. I think something like that, right? So it's like it's never just one thing. So you can have a group, like for example, if you go to South Africa today, there's a group known as Colored. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
And you've heard of the Black group, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what they've done now, since their new government's come in, they've actually had something where they call it Black Economic Empowerment. And the Black Economic Empowerment recognizes the color group and the Black group as Black people that need to be fixed because of what happened in apartheid. But they recognize colored people as a distinct group, and they recognize the Black people as a distinct group. And then within the Black group, they even recognize Khoisan, Zulu, and the many other different ethnic groups within them. Yeah, but they recognize all together. There's a collective word that they have: the Khoisan, the colored, the Zulu, and there's some others. They recognize them as black. You see, and they also see that as synonymous with African, or what they use in Brazil, Afro descendant. You see, because in Brazil, sorry, they had the Negro and the mulatto, and then you had the in betweens of those, right? Yeah, and they said all those people who trace themselves from Africa or from the enslaved people group, they will be known as Afro descendants. So we use terms like Afro descendants, Black, Aboriginal, Ethiopian for Negro, whatever it is, depending on the context of the conversation who you're talking to, because it's about that group working together for furtherment, right, for betterment. But we're aware that the majority of Black people will be they will have something that we call error-prone behavior. You see, they'll have error-prone behavior, and we're trying to make them have high principle behavior. Here it is, right here. You see it? So unfortunately, many Black people have error-prone behavior. So you speaking to people who are in this area, but hopefully we're going to introduce the people who's in this area, which is the minority. But we should never focus on the unsynchronized minority. We should focus on the synchronized minority, right? And the idea is to create campaigns and branding to educate the unsynchronized to be synchronized. Because remember, it isn't normal to hate yourselves. So that means we've learned that through the marketing of the European or the white person, unfortunately, right? But for you to then limit the things you can and can't do because of error-prone behavior, you might find it challenging. But that doesn't negate the fact that what you've been through is very, very, very painful. And I guess let me end by saying this: whether you identify as biracial, colored, bronze, golden, there's still a place for you in Black betterment initiatives and lifestyle. However, the one thing we would say is it is a group-based initiative. So yourself, if you picked a Black wife, a colored wife, her, your father. But if your mother was European, you can do whatever you're doing and as a mother, and you love your mother and you buy her flowers, this kind of stuff. However, it will not be for her. This initiative isn't for her. She can live her life. She's already got a system to live within. We're creating systems for Black people. So, for example, if we were to create a magazine to promote Blackness or Black love or Black culture, your mother wouldn't be in the magazine. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, because she has a system, a superior system, unfortunately, that can look after her. While we have it we don't really have any systems, but if we did, it would be inferior. So the idea is to push out all this error-prone behavior and create institutions that market and educate Black people how to live with Black people. So we're going to minimize the name calling that you might have heard, right? And we practice two things: utility and unity. You see, all right, and that's how we operate here. I hope this has been beneficial for you to pass by, brother.
Yeah.
Now, I would say this before we wrap up with you, because we have to, because we're going to move on to Black economics in a bit. But what I would say is, if you've been to all these pro-Black places, go there less, yeah, and go to places like this more. And what you're describing isn't unique to you, because we have guests on here say, I go on all these shows and they're dark-skinned women and dark-skinned men, and when I go on them, when I start promoting Black love or Black economics, they keep ridiculing me and calling me names. When I talk about Pan-Africanism, they say, you Caribbeans, you don't dare come to my country, blah, blah, this kind of stuff, right? So what we're seeing is Black people will always find a way to hate Black people, unfortunately, right? But you don't focus on the unsynchronized, you focus on the synchronized. You don't focus on the error-prone, you focus on the high principle. When you've been here, has anyone said anything towards you that you feel disrespectful?
Say that again.
Has anyone on this platform who's been speaking to you said anything towards you that you feel has been done disrespectfully?
No, I haven't felt like I've been disrespected yet.
Okay, so you're always welcome, brother, to come on this panel, have a listen, contribute, and work with other Black people, colored people, golden people to find solutions for that greater collective. The historical Negro, the historical African, the Afro-descendant, the Black person, or the whatever variant word we use in the future. You will be part of our collective group now, and we will try to facilitate you. But we warn you that we're about Black love and Black economics. So when it comes to promoting love and relationships, we recommend you pick someone within that group. So you pick a Negro or a golden or a whatever. But when you're picking them, you don't mistreat the ethnic group or the color shade that isn't being picked. Yeah?
Right.
We don't do that, right? So just like when you identified, sadly, Brother Umar got in an argument for light-skinned brother, and his go-to word was, forms of shadism. We don't do that. And also, I think the brother he used the term like he's albino, this kind of stuff, when he is an albino. But once again, as you see the pictures, albinos are part of the black albinos, and we understand they have a mailing arrangement. Yeah, so it's like we don't mistreat whether you have vitiligo, albino, your sister, your brother, and we respect you as you are, and you're still part of the great collective.
Right.
You see?
Brother Golden, I was just going to ask, do you mind perhaps posting a link to the Dr. Umar thing that you said that just happened recently, please?
It's not recently. It's maybe 4 years ago. But
Yeah, this was all the way back in 2016. But
Right.
I'm just recently finding out about it.
Right. So we end by this. Outside of that behavior from Brother Umar, then were you quite happy with all the other stuff he has done?
With Dr. Umar?
Yes.
Not that I could say of, not really.
Because I remember him very particularly saying that if you have one black parent, you're still an African, you're still part of the community, and you're still part of the initiative he's pushing to educate and help.
Yeah, to me that's just some pandering he's doing, and right. To me it felt like when he got mad at SETI, like he's a psychologist, so he probably knows this already. When you're mad, the truth usually comes out about how you truly feel. So the truth about how he really feels about mixed race Africans, as he calls us, the truth about how he really feels about us really came out. So regardless of all that other stuff, I don't feel like that's how he really feels.
I would say this, brother, right? We say, I think I've got it here, and this is going to be the last thing we cover before we jump on. It's very important, and it might not make any sense to you or even be valuable, but I recommend it because have you heard of a brother called Neely Fuller Jr.?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. So what's good is he says that unfortunately he doesn't think black people should hang around each other too long without having anything to do because we're full of so much poison that we might poison each other, and it's deep within us. And that's why what we say here is we try to have strategy over like stress, and we try to have tactics over trauma, right? And what I mean by that is, unfortunately, you might see him as someone who, when he gets angry, he says how he really feels inside. But we would identify that the sheer majority of identified black people, regardless of their shade or breakdown, will have that in them, you see? And that could happen at any time because of the poison that we've gone through and the poison that we push forward. And it takes great training for us to work on that poison. And some of us, all it takes is one name calling and we go off one. Hence why we try to teach how to discipline, how to be stoic, and how to try to explode your dopamines in ways where you feel good to see black people doing good and you feel bad to see black people doing bad, so you don't then participate in mistreating black people. So we're gonna. There's any last words you'd like to say, brother, before we move on to black economics?
Nah, man, I pretty much said what I had to say for the most part.
Will you be returning to any future Black Betterment shows, brother?
Yeah, I think I will. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think I will.
You're invited to.
I don't think I will. I know I will.
That's good. You're welcome to hold our feet to the fire. If we start promoting anti golden people, let us know. Heck, I might even be registered as golden. I don't have a white parent. I don't have the only Europeans who might be in my family was unfortunately through rape many generations ago. However, people have thought that I am a so-called biracial person because of my skin tone, right? And how I look. But either or, I still identify as black. I'm identified as black, and I still practice the same stuff. And we still network all other people of different shades to form Betterment for the Black Collective. What I would say is thank you for joining us, brother. We're now going to go on to listen to the topic at hand, which is family. I don't think we're going to have time to really come up with a strategy of how to promote black ownership. What we can do is we can listen to let's assert from Tyler Perry. Let's see if we got a quick one of them talking about him buying BT. Let's have a listen. Oh, hold on. Is it working?
Of rumors, and it looks like a deal has reportedly finally been reached for Tyler Perry to.
It might actually be a good thing. It might actually be a good thing you came on, brother, because I've got a feeling there's some issue with YouTube. It's because the videos are just tracking.
By BT. Now, according.
Yes. So you know what? We might not. If that's the case, let me try another one.
Brother Raven, do you want to post the link? Oh, but you've blackified it in there. I was going to say if you
Yeah,
can post
these
the link
things
in
are
the
talking
chat.
about MTV and stuff. So you know they'll probably try to shoot us down if
To the string
we
where the
play this stuff.
deal was settled for an undisclosed amount and comes after Perry's
Nah,
relationship with Paramount and BET Plus. Although some are excited for BET to come under Black ownership, there are others who have shown their concerns. With many online users calming at Tyler Perry, and it brings up the question, why are some Black people so critical when it comes to Black-owned businesses and Black ownership? Now, let's just start from just reactions. Pierre, I already see you shaking your head. So don't think about the people, just the report. This has not been confirmed just yet, but right now it is being reported that Tyler Perry will buy BET as well as VH1. Just that alone, Pierre, what's your reaction to it?
I'm happy for Tyler Perry. You know, his story from where he came from to be in his position that he is in, that is a beautiful thing. I mean, it's a testament to his hard work, his tenacity. It shows that, you know, we can do this, no matter where you start from, you can rise up to the top. So out of that, I respect, what he's done, how he's got, where he's at right now. I'm thinking about it.
We're stopping there for a bit.
Black man doing this, so
yeah, we're gonna. So I think it's been confirmed that he's actually bought BET. Now, what I'm trying to, everything seems to be going. Maybe because it's hot today. I don't know. Everything's going very slow today by my end. But we launched last week the Black Love campaign where we posted images. We posted maybe 6 or 7 at the moment, and I'll still be doing it throughout the week. I need Google. Hold on. Yeah. So what we were discussing is how could we promote Black economics? What could we do? Could we even use people like Tyler Perry as ad imagery and stuff and news something? This is something for you guys to think out who are there. Betterment Broad. Hold on, I'm just getting it. Broadcast. Come on, man, this is so slow. Instagram. So yeah, that's the question we're asking. Hey, there you go. This is I feel something's really gone funny here. Okay, please tell me that is this. There you go. Is that right? No. Right. So anyway, family, you're there. If you're still there, if you're still logged in, we're joined by Brother Golden and Sister Empress Kush. We're talking about, I guess it would be seen as shadism. I don't think it qualifies colorism, but it might be seen as shadism and mistreatment to lighter, I guess, lighter Black people or biracial people not feeling they have a voice. We kind of tackled a similar issue a few weeks back, fair enough, with a popular social media lady who was she was not best pleased, I guess, of people promoting Black love, Black man and Black woman. And she kind of made it clear on her Instagram. We covered it. But we tackled these issues here on the Betterment Broadcast. Any questions, feel free to ask. You can also click on the link, and hopefully everything's still working. You can jump in. Let me make sure I missed anyone who wants to jump in and ask a question. But yeah, we were looking at economics. We wanted to play some videos, but something is wrong with either StreamYard or YouTube. It's jumping like mad.
Do you mind giving us kind of a breakdown of what we would have heard?
Yeah, so what we would have heard is basically, for those who don't know, BET is Black entertainment television. This is a USA-based company that was doing media shows, and it actually was started. I would say by a husband and wife duo. Yeah. And what happened was towards, I want to say, either the late 90s or 2000s, for one reason or another, they decided to sell their actual company to a white company, one of the major white labels, I think it was. And what we started noticing was a lot of the, and they said themselves, a lot of the restrictions they would put on the channel, well, they're gone. As in, they were happy to show a whole lot of uncensored content and I guess, well, maybe say edgy content. I'm not too sure. Edgy might not be the right word, but so content that wasn't necessarily in the best interest of Black people. And then that's been has been for a couple of years now. And then Tyler Perry has now tried to. He made it very clear a few months back or years back he was trying to buy it, and I guess people are best pleased now because obviously he's a Black brother, and people have had some complaints with some of his movies. We covered more so the Medea ones, maybe that kind of stuff. But what we can't deny is this is a brother who came from the bottom, and now he's made his own film company studio that shoots and does productions for film and shoots out space to shoot movies and stuff. So well done to him. So it's good to see that brother's doing that. And I guess the fact that if he has a film company that produces film, writes films, gets them, directs them, does these films, plus he has a channel to stream them and to show them, this is a very good economic game. And hopefully he can have some kind of Black Betterment incentive when he's producing these products. We welcome Bro Daniel to the show. Welcome, Bro Daniel.
Welcome, brother. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to the
Yes,
chat.
that's our Black Betterment.
Black Betterment all day, every day. Yes.
I think it's interesting because I do believe that Oprah is kind of like a mentor figure to him.
Right.
And you know, Oprah up to recently owned her own channel, OWN.
Yes.
So it's very interesting now that he's now taking his route to own BET, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
We know of the story of the age-old story. Some of us are old enough of Bill Cosby trying to attempt to take, was it CBS?
I heard it was I think it's CBS. I think
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, it was one of the biggest broadcasting, and people say that was the beginning of the end for him, right?
Yes. As soon as he announced that, it was downhill.
Yeah, right. And we know about what happened to Michael and Prince when they started to want to own their own things. So I think when we do sank over and look backwards to kind of see at this point now of him owning BET and just looking the lineup of, you know, Oprah doing OWN and who people before that attempted to just own something and how hard it was, to the point of now we've got the second person now that I can really think of, Oprah being the first, him the second, of owning a real established channel. I mean, there is a Black owned channel. I think it's Hulu. Is it Hulu? That's Zeus Network, which I know is Black owned, but that's kind of like new age kind of internet kind of based. It's not really. It's a new age kind of network, you know, in the streaming game. But you know, BET, CBS, OWN, they were kind of brought about in the old template, the old vanguard of media, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's very interesting. Very interesting. And I think I mean, I know I'm probably in the minority of this. I've said this very early in the beginning of your show. You know, I admire his work ethic. I admire his story, where he's come from. I admire the fact that he owns a big lot. You know, it's not just a small studio; it's huge. You know, people like Wakanda have used his shows. You know, some of the kind of adventure, Marvel. They've used his set because he's got everything. It's huge. You know, he's already done like movies. He does sitcoms. So he's got like whole blocks of roads that literally look like they're like estates, houses, and they're literally just sets. You know, and he's let his staff stayed in there as well, so they don't really have to pay when it's like he does a lot. Obviously, we know he's big in regards to. I mean, he gave security to Britain's Prince, so I mean, he's big in the game, you know. So he's done well from a man who was sleeping in his car broke.
It's good, excellent. I think I was researching him a bit, just coming. Well, fortunately, and I guess unfortunately, he was actually married to an Ethiopian woman. Funny enough, up until 2 years ago, I think.
Yeah,
And
quite
obviously
recently. Yeah.
but they split. So hopefully the brother will, if he does get married, will pick a African American woman or another African woman or something. Hopefully he won't do what many other brothers who seem to be given power.
Sorry, brother Raven.
Mm.
Galilea Beckley. That's the wife, the woman that he was married to with the wife and what was that? His wife and kids,
Yeah.
and he split.
Yeah, I think 2 years ago. I think.
Recently.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah,
Okay, all right. Sorry, I'll hold my corner.
But, so the other thing, obviously, we wish the man well, and we hope he does constructive things and is inspirational. We hope as he's progressing, he if he does get married again, he can pick a person within the community. That would be always good, especially now he'll be making a tremendous amount of money from all the
even more
doing, unless he signs some kind of deal, and maybe the daughter of another person community. I don't know. You never know what goes on behind the camera.
We're going for your pattern of successful people of dark tones marrying outside their dark tone categories. I'm confidently can predict that if he does marry someone outside of his, a melanated space, then it's not going to surprise me, bro. Tell you the truth.
Well, I'm gonna. I haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna do a case study because he's obviously a movie director, producer, and he does quite all, to be honest. But the area I was looking at from the UK standpoint was I was looking at all the this thing's so slow, it's unbelievable. I was looking at all the black directors in the UK, which there isn't too many. If I've missed any, let me know, family. But these are all the ones I could find. And going back to the first one,
you just keep doing this to us. Like every time, he just keeps doing this to us.
No, but this is what I'm saying, bro. That these
what
don't.
About the black woman, I will destroy you, woman. You know the black one.
Yeah, but these don't have no power of influence to a degree. Do you know what I mean? Where Mr. Perry now, he has a lot of power and influence, and kudos to him. I do understand his struggle and where he's come from, and I do appreciate the ethics and the work, like Empress has said. My concern is that when we're looking at who's plucked him up, Oprah, she's been known to kind of side with the Epsteins of the world and shut down the R. Kellys of the world, to help the cause from other people. You know what I mean? Yeah, Oprah's been there, and do you know what I mean? These entities are not going to give these studios or companies to any radical black folks that might want to change. So he meets the part, but because he's played Nadima as well, they know that he has a balanced side where he could easily show a not so strong, aggressive, masculine, military man figure. Do you know what I mean? He's all right there.
Brother Daniel had to come with the balance for it. It was like, hold on.
Balance. He's balanced. He's a new age balanced black man. Yeah. So he will get that kind of green light. And now he's left his wife, Ethiopian wife, he's been for years, and kids and family. I don't know why. It's not for wealth. There must be something that he's not seen in the development of what helped them grow. He's now open to start new adventures. So hopefully he does start producing more movies and producing images that can help better improve the African American community and industry, not just in the Western world, but across, the globe, and work with Nollywood. Or whatever it is, and start looking about building on that land and helping them to produce a lot more Wakandas. You got Marvel and you got DC, like a DC kind of level of, animation or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's good. It's interesting times, and it's good to watch.
It is. And
it is. I'm not gonna hate.
Yeah, no, I think we should always try to support and try to put things in perspective. But at the same time, we must always try to look at patterns and make sure that we understand our patterns, and when people start progressing, we have to make sure that they do things in a way that optically is beneficial, but we're aware. That's why I would say that I don't know. Yeah, I will be doing the Black American director, same as I've done to UK. Unfortunately, the UK I've only found one black director who's married to a black woman. So I was going to do the American. Hopefully, the American is different. I'm trying to think of who. Spike Lee. Yep, definitely Spike Lee. We married to if he's still married. I'm assuming. I'm trying to think of how many black directors am I with, because I'm aware there's a lot of homosexual black directors.
Right.
There's a lot
because there was a lot of whispering about this is why I give thanks to this channel, bro, again, because it's true that we have to give balance. So although I can give him so much respect from his story and just how he has just made it to where he has, and that's just because I've been watching him. Brother Daniel has a point, and like what we always say and what you always remind us, we have to be able to, and what I stand on now so much is that we have to be able to critique. So although this is a good thing, like what you and Brother Daniel said, we have to be watching this journey with wide open eyes, not just with rose tinted glasses, as they say. We have to watch out for what kind of content is he going to be delivering. Who is he going to be in a relationship with next? What is his next plans for expansion? So those kind of things as well needs to be seen. But I hope we can see it with a balance with the brother, because he is only one man, and this is a big thing. And like what Brother Daniel said, like if he does do that, that'd be amazing. Like just imagine that, like our own kind of Marvel series and things like that. Once he starts that, because I'm not really a Marvel's nut, so bear with me if I'm wrong, but I know that some of these stories have been kind of produced with like 5 years in advance. Like these stories that have come out now have been already written. So the longevity of this, if he does this, is just be so much wealth within us if it's done right, especially if he does build with Nollywood, because Nollywood is second right at the moment. So yeah,
it'll be good. I think I might cover one week the comic and the black. I don't think we've done it yet. The black presence in comics.
Oh yes, please.
It's very interesting because I've got.
I love the X-Men one.
Oh, you mean okay? Yeah. Well, the way I would tackle
it, basically our story, isn't it?
Well, so the area of interest I would go down is one, I guess the black people's experience in comics in the golden age of comics, which they tend to say is like late 30s, early 40s to early 50s. It's like the golden age.
What, like 1950s, he's saying?
50s is when it was wrapping up and becoming something. So the golden age of comics was like late 39, like 38, all the way to like maybe 51, something like this. And what I found for the research is there was black people who worked in the companies creating characters. But what happened was a lot of the characters they created were changed. So they might make a black character and then someone would then take that character, the editor, and then recolor it white, that kind of stuff, right? Which happened a lot. And obviously, like things would just change around, and then those artists had to find ways to, try to get some kind of blackness on a comic book. And then what there was one thing we will cover is a company known as Negro Comics that came out. I want to say it's 1946, 44, something around that time. And that was the first ever black-owned comic company in the world, I think. It has to be the world for America. And that was basically trying to give black Americans, because a lot of when Europeans were making black characters in their comics books, like 99.99% of them were always racist and caricatures and this kind of stuff. So there was a Negro company called Negro Comics, run by all black people, who tried to give positive images of Africa and positive images of African Americans. And they had characters. I think one was called Ace Harlem, one was called Lion Man. There was a black woman. I forgot her name. She wasn't similar, but she was like some kind of romance piece or something. And yeah, they did some comics back then, and then obviously it's not going on anymore. It's now public domain. And so there'll be that area, and then the research that white Europeans do to African culture and deities, whatever, and then how they incorporate those into things like X-Men and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like what the Black Orishas and the old
those things,
stories and how they revamped it into, definitely.
Yeah.
Who's the one I'm thinking of? I'm thinking one already. What's the woman one from the
Storm?
Amazon tribe?
Is it Storm? No, it's not Storm.
No, the one from the Amazon tribe. She has her own one. Was it Wonder Woman? Is it? You know, she's from the Amazon tribe. They had the movie. She was it was an all woman. It was a big blockbuster.
If you're talking about Wonder Woman, because I haven't really seen
I think it was Wonder Woman or something like that. It was the most recent one. She was brunette. It was an all woman thing, but she was from the Amazon tribe, and obviously we know that Amazon tribe was African.
Yeah. No, I think the other thing about Wonder Woman as it pertains to Black people or characters is, I know that one of the first Black DC characters was Nubia, and she was a reskinned version of Wonder Woman, but a Black version. And that
What's her name?
Nubia. I think her name was Nubia.
No way.
I think her name was Nubia. If I'm right, I think her name was Nubia. And she might have came out in the 70s, this kind of stuff. To be honest, I'll try to get a small documentary on a lot of the Black characters that came out in the 60s and 70s, because I know DC made a comic. DC is the rivals of Marvel, for those who don't know. So they're the guys who own Batman and Superman, these kind of things. And I think they had a character, I forgot his name because my memory's bad, but this character's origin story was to explain why there was no Black people in DC Comics from the 40s to like the 70s. I think they tried to have an origin story of why it was, and I think the excuse they gave was I think all Black people were kidnapped and put onto a flying island. It was something stupid. It was something really silly, right? And because people were going, I've noticed that you don't have any Black people ever anywhere you go. And then I guess when Black Panther came out, people were wondering, why doesn't your rivals have Black people in their comics? But Marvel now has a whole kind of continent of Wakanda, this kind of stuff. So that was DC's response. But DC was always more, I guess, European led. I guess I don't know what the word is, rather than Marvel, which Marvel really got their voice in the 60s, and the 60s was that pro-Black stuff. So some of that, you see a lot of that infiltrating in the actual Marvel writing. And then obviously X-Men, that you mentioned, is one of them, where rather than show Black people, they break down through mutants are Black people and humans are white people, whatever. And then you have Professor X, who is Malcolm X. And the other one,
the other one's Martin Luther King.
This kind of stuff. This was Stan Lee said that himself. But yeah, it'll be an interesting thing for us to cover.
It would be.
Yeah, we'll do it one time. Definitely. But for those who, if you guys want to catch up before then, Google Negro Comics, and that will let you see the first ever comic run, paid for, and distributed by Black people. It's actually now what they call public domain. So how public domain works, for those who don't know, when they used to make comics or any kind of creative work, if you don't renew the copyright every I don't know, I can't remember how long, it might be 40 or 80 years, I can't remember, then anyone's allowed to retake those characters or those stories and republish it themselves. And there's a lot of comics where that's what's happened, but I think they find a way to get Superman and Mickey Mouse and these things, because technically those characters should be public domain now.
They're getting patented every year, though, isn't it?
Yeah, they do certain things. I think what it is even though they own the copyright of Mickey Mouse, the first ever Mickey Mouse ever seen, the actual show, the cartoon, that can be seen as public domain. But I think Marvel have ways to loophole this kind of stuff. It's very interesting that how comics work, and how, like, there'll be one character called, I think his name was Shazam. He's now from Marvel. They made a film from him, and his original name was Captain Marvel, but they stopped publishing him. Then Marvel, the company, took that name. So then when they tried to publish again, they couldn't use the name Marvel, so they had to call him Shazam. All this kind of funny business that these companies do behind the scenes. That itself is interesting if you just watch those documentaries. But we'll cover that, Black comics and Black cartoons and that kind of stuff at some point. But this week
I think all of that underhandedness as well. Like, I think that goes to show a lot of like business as well, because it's fundamentally about money and dealing with rivals. And now you've got this black man who owns BET, like just coming back to Tyler Perry, and he's going to have to deal with a lot of that, you know.
He will.
And it's interesting how if he, like what Daniel says, if he rides to it and he stands firm, or if he just cowers to the pressure and just assimilates, you know.
I think
he's independent though, right, bro? That's like the one thing that he doesn't have an excuse for, though, right? Because he's literally built up himself from scratch. That's what is so fascinating about him. It's not, he owns his own studio.
Yeah,
you know, he wrote like 4 or 5 different series that literally are like series, like EastEnders, like series, like shows for OWN.
You know what's
it
funny?
was owned by Oprah. Now you own BET. So the man can do everything in house. So if he were to cower, what would really be the justification for that? Because at this point, they come to you when they want to shoot a certain scene because you've got all of the latest tech.
It's interesting the thing you're saying, because I'm trying to think that he might have actually made the bulk of his starting money, or even all money, on his within the black community. I think he the Diary of a Mad Woman. This kind of, I think, is it that? No, Diary of
a Mad Black Woman.
Is that what it's called? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah. I think that was what caused the original. The fact they were dressing as a woman, for one, even though they say because he wasn't sexualized, it was more auntie-ized, which is, they say all comedians want to do this apparently. But you know, like Mrs. Doubtfire, this kind of stuff. So people were less harsh because it wasn't like a sexual woman play or whatever it might be, right? Still, there's problematic here and there. But saying that, he did make his money. He did. I suspect he made a lot of his money on the black circuits and the black women and men who are really into that kind of theater and film production, which I suspect it was relatively cheap, but made a lot.
Yeah, it's called the Chitlin market.
There you go.
So that's how he made his money, by doing these. But he's also smart, so he was also aware that, like, you know, back in the day, the DVD man, not to be offensive, you know, like people who know, he goes to the barbershop or that, right? So that was happening a lot in America, and that's when he started to do a lot of his plays. So the Diary of a Mad Black Woman, that actual movie is probably like his first established high brands, got like good actors in it, it's up quality. That was his first movie, but before that he was doing plays, and a lot of his plays you could get on his DVDs, but his plays were like jokes in it, so people would watch it. So that's where Medea started. So it's literally Medea started at the beginning. So it was all plays. He'd videoed the plays, but he was aware that his DVDs were getting bootlegged. But what he was saying is that the bootleg and the Chinese DVD man was doing more marketing for him that he could never do, because he's there in Atlanta doing a chitlin market, which chitlin is like it's like a looking down term. It's like the cheap little hood local plays, right? So he's doing a chitlin market and he's getting a gathering, people recording it. The DVD man is now recording it, making copies, but now the DVD man is not only doing it in Atlanta, I'm getting offered it in London when I'm getting my hair done. Do you know what I mean? So the market was spreading. So now all of a sudden everyone knows about him, Medea, everything. So every time he does another one, he's noticing that people are knowing about him. Social media comes and he's getting followers straight away from different countries that know about him. So he's like, hold on, people know about me. He just ran with it. So yeah, he started basically from black people, but he was in it with them. I don't think you could say he used them. It was amongst him kind of thing. I don't think there's a sense of using. I think the most thing that people have against him is the fact that he wears dresses. Yes. And they're saying that he's promoting the thing that black men are saying that is bashing them, which is like the bashing of the masculine black man, you know what I mean? So that's what I normally see.
I've heard that.
The judgment towards it, not that he's manipulating from black people, because you can kind of tell he does so much for black people. Do you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't never say that about him. So I think it's more about the, like what Daniel says, the promotion side, isn't it? They're sick of seeing him in the dress. That's what people are saying, and the storylines as well. You know, like he does always want to. People don't always want to see black man as the bad guy, but he's fixed that, boy. Because the last couple of upscale movies, boy, has he made some movies where the woman is scandalous. So, I think he's listening to his market. And the thing about Tyler, man, he'll give you the A-list celebrities, he'll give you the looks, he'll give you the whole shebang. It's like watching a proper Hollywood movie, just all black. Like, it is a beautiful thing to see, So
I'm looking at his last film that he made for a Tyler Perry film, A Jazz Man's Blues. Now I don't know what it's about.
Oh yeah.
It's on Netflix because I'm looking at everything he's made, you see. And the last film he made is a film called A Jazz Man's Blues. And I'm noticing there's, it looks like a timepiece.
It is, yeah.
Like maybe set back in the day, and there's a well-dressed black man looking at a white woman with a book in her hand, sitting on a tree. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's not. Maybe she might be a person. Maybe that, I don't know. I'm just remember she's going slow.
A bit hopeful ever.
The creeping star. The creep star.
It's directed, written, produced by Tyler Perry. I'm thinking this is Netflix. Okay, this is the last film made. There's a very dark skinned brother. He might be the jazz man, I'm assuming. And he's looking at what from this angle looks like a European woman. Could be wrong, because at that time the fashion and the angles and the sunlights and the thing. So
what's it called?
A Jazz Man's Blues. So I could be wrong. I'm just clicking to see if I can see. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I think I'm wrong. Hold on.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one.
1,000 Shapes. What I'm seeing was a cut scene of a white woman who's wearing red. But when I'm looking at this other angle, that's a separate woman from who's on the front. It looks like a very light-skinned lady, potentially biracial, who knows, but it is not a European lady. That seems, unless, I don't know.
Yeah, no, she's not European, bro.
Yeah,
no.
I think maybe it's the villain. Maybe I'm seeing the picture of the villain of the show, because there's like a woman in red who's with some other.
Yeah, she's quite fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Say no more. I was looking at his work he was done. I also noticed, it's funny enough, this random we're talking about comics. He's in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, and he plays a character called Baxter Stockman. And what's interesting about Baxter Stockman, and this is what I was trying to say about the whole race swapping phenomenon that people get angry over now. Baxter Stockman, I remember watching cartoon. He was a white character in the Turtles as an enemy when it was of the Turtles in the cartoons, but he originally was a black character. So the cartoons turned him white, and I guess these films now turn him back to black. So when they talk about not being best pleased that they're making so many white characters non-white now, as the new argument is, there's actually thousands of characters in a lot of these comics and cartoons, what it might be, who were originally black, but because they thought they wouldn't sell, they turned them into white when it became on TV or became popular. So that's something that we might cover in the comic string as well, like black characters who will turn white. One that came to star, one that I remember was a guy called Black Star. Even his name was his Black Star, but they turned him white. And he was the motivation for a character called He-Man. There's a character called He-Man, yeah. So He-Man was influenced by Black Star and Conan, and it was taken. And the idea was to have a black man who goes to space and ends up on some world or whatever it is. But the man said, no, you gotta make him white. Or make him ambiguously Indian-y Asian. So like he looks like he could be Native American or white, that kind of thing is what they're going for. And yeah, so they turn him from black to that. So the research has tons. There really is a lot. You'll be surprised. Even like I think Starship Troopers was meant to be a Filipino man. They made a white man. There's so many. But yeah, whatever. It's that kind of stuff. So blah blah blah. But anyway,
I just wanted to clarify. Jazzman Blues is actually, I think it would be Betterment approved. I just checked it. I do remember it. It'll be Betterment approved. It's definitely about the pursuit of black love. And I want to say he's done another one about 4 little girls. It stars Idris Elba. It's about a black father fighting for his right to see his 4 girls. So hence the title 4 Little Girls. It's got Oh, I forgot her name. She was in Empire.
Mhm.
Oh, what's her name?
Let me Google that.
I forgot her name. Oh, everyone knows her anyways. But yeah, there's the big A blockbusters in there as well, and that's another positive one. It's got Idris Elba, and he's fighting to keep his little black girls as well. So yeah, so let's hope he's doing more of these.
I think the one you mentioned was actually directed by Spike Lee.
Was
So I
it?
think Spike Lee did Four Little Girls. I'm looking at it now. It was a budget of 1 million, and it. Oh my!
Is that with Idris Elba?
It's got no. It's hold on. You know what? Is there more than one? Oh, maybe is it a play as well or something? Let me check. Because let me see. Four Little Girls, American historical documentary film about. Okay, I won't say what it's about, but it's directed by Spike Lee, produced by Spike Lee, and cinematography by. Okay, so I can't see Tyler in there. Maybe he's not a producer, but there might be more than one. That's the thing. I don't know if it's a famous play, because that's the thing. Some of these things actually plays, but I don't know. Okay, fair enough. But either way, we're still very proud.
Sorry, my one's called Daddy's Little Girl.
Ah, okay, that's okay.
I think it's Daddy's Little Girl.
Girl. Movie 2012.
Yeah. Idris Elba, Gabrielle Union, Trace Ellis Ross. That's what I mean. So you got big stars in there. So yeah, and this one is a really good one. 2007, Daddy's Little Girl, Tyler Perry. All black cast on there. Some legends on there, and again, it's a good storyline. So this is what I mean. Like, he does get a lot of hate, but if you look into it, it does seem like he has listened. He's listened to the brothers, So, let's hope that he listens to the people then. Especially if you're now owning BET, because I think at one point, oh yeah, there you go. The film is Daddy's Little Girls. There we go. Thank you for that.
Yeah, found it.
Babes one. So yeah, let's hope that he does that and moving forward.
And funny enough, music by Brian McKnight. We covered him a few weeks back, didn't we?
Oh god,
yeah.
He needs to watch that. He needs to watch that movie.
Yeah, he needs to watch that. Yeah. We did cover him a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so family, we've come to the 12 o'clock mark. Today we covered division amongst shadism and colorism within the black community. We had a guest, Brother Golden, and he said that he was best pleased with his interaction on the show, that he'll be coming back. He says, unfortunately, because he goes to many pro-black spaces that mistreat him because of his lighter tone, he is thinking of trying to form a new collective just based upon tones. We said we would recommend this. Come to this show, see if we can work something out. So he said we'll be coming back. And then we also focus on the second half on observing Tyler Perry, who's bought BET, and we've been looking at his past work to see some of the constructive things he's done, and also the motivation. And we're just being concerned because unfortunately he was married to Ethiopian sister, but they've broken up. And we hope that if he does get married again, he picks African American or African person to hopefully practice black economics and optically see success where a constructive, successful black man is around a constructive, successful black woman, just for the optics of it, and because it's just what we promote here, isn't it? Yes, we do. So yeah. Any last things from Empress and Brother Bro Daniel, and any last things you want to say?
Sorry.
No, go on, sis.
I was just going to say, big show as usual, brother. Great topic. And yeah, it's good to hear from Golden. And bless up Bro Daniel for jumping back on. It's been a while, so good to see him on as well.
Now give thanks for having me on, and thank you, sis, for encouraging me to come up here. I wouldn't be up here if you didn't make this shout, And I've been in the chat underneath Manchester Reparative Justice Forum. It's another channel that I'm pushing for my reparations group. Sometimes I'm on the laptop or not, but it's been great. It's good to have the brother on as well, Brother Golden, have a chat. But I think he needs to express himself more so we can learn from him. And hopefully, I will be holding Mr. Perry if he does start moving a certain way that doesn't help. Supporting me as a brother. So yeah, thank you for having this platform, brother, and allowing us to discuss this as a community, Black Betterment.
All right, brothers. So everyone, until next week, Black Betterment, and we apologize that the videos were a bit problematic. We assume it's the streaming. But until next week, we'll cover what we have this week, next week. Until then, Black Betterment talk.